Yep. Good evening, everyone. So last session we discussed about the JavaScript basics about functions. So in JavaScript language basics, I uploaded a document just now. So in the document up to all language basics, everything is there. You can go through that. In the classroom, I uploaded it. So language basics related, all concepts are there. If anyone not aware of language basics of JavaScript, go through that. So last session, we were discussing about JavaScript functions. So we were discussing about JavaScript functions. In that, we learned, so what is a function declaration? We discussed about function signature and what is function definition. We learned about function parameters. We discussed about what are formal parameters. We discussed about what are actual parameters, and we know about what are arguments, function arguments. Argument means how many parameters a function can take. That is referred as arguments. And we discussed about REST parameters. Am I right? REST parameters. What is a REST parameter? REST parameter is nothing but one parameter that can allow multiple arguments. So we discussed that point. REST parameter is a single parameter which can accept multiple arguments. So what are the rules about REST parameter? Every function can have only one REST parameter. REST parameter is defined by using ... param name. REST parameter, there can be only one REST parameter. Another rule, REST parameter must be last parameter. So that is important about REST. You can define one parameter and it can handle multiple arguments. Next important is actually we need one more option, that is spread. We need spread syntax. We need spread. So function have spread type syntax also. We need spread syntax. Spread syntax is nothing but actually reversing the concept actually. Suppose you see, what is the spread syntax? So we are creating React app. Yep. We are creating a simple function. So we are creating a simple function. So the function is addition. This is taking three parameters, some a, comma b, comma c. And what this function is doing, it is returning a plus b plus c. So means it is adding and returning some value. Now actually, how we pass value into it? Because it is expecting three parameters, so we will pass three parameters. There is a spread technique. In spread technique, what we do? We put var numbers. Numbers is equal to 10, 30, 50. These are three numbers. It's an array. Now this array can be passed into this. But addition is not expecting array. How you will pass? Addition is a function which is expecting simple three parameters. And as per the current calculation, all three parameters are numbers. then how you will pass these three into this? Suppose I am saying console.log. I will put here addition is equal to, I am calling addition. Into that I am passing numbers. That is not correct. It is not correct. Why it is not correct? Because numbers is an array. Numbers is an array, and this array you are passing into this location. So, but here it is expecting 3 parameters. You are passing only 1. That means now these numbers will be stored inside this A. Then what you can do is you can use a spread technique while passing the parameter. That means if you are having an array and that array need to be passed into any function, then you can use like this dot dot dot. This is a spread technique. Now what does this? This is not rest parameter. Rest parameter is only in function declaration. Rest parameter is in function declaration. It is spread syntax. In this spread technique, what we are doing, we are collecting an array and we are reading every element from array, and individually those elements are passed into this reference. Actually, this is called, this we call as spread. This is called as spread. And very important is actually spread uses an iterator. It internally uses an iterator. What this iterator will do? This iterator is going to read every value from that collection and it will pass every value into this individual reference. Into those references it will pass. That means it is using an array. It is accessing the elements from the array and it is applying. Now usually this spread is considered as, actually what is spread? So spread is nothing but it uses an iterator implicitly to read values from an array and pass as arguments into a function. That's what spread can do. So now you see here, actually when you are dealing with this spread, I will compile and run this. So command here, yeah, this is, sorry, node index.js, it returns that 90. That means how it is returning 90? Because this first value, it is passed in A. The second value is passed into B. And the third value is passed into C. That means it is using an iterator. By using iterator, it is reading one by one values and it is applying those values, spreading. It is spreading the values into individual reference. So in many React interviews, we have seen this question asked to React developers, like what is difference between rest parameter and spread? What is difference between rest and spread? Can you tell now? Rest is about parameters and spread is about arguments. Understood? Rest is about parameters and spread is about arguments. What spread arguments can do? They use a iterator technique. They read the values from an collection individually and they spread them into parameters. So remember, this is not parameter. This is actual parameter. We call this argument. This argument is passed into these parameters. That argument spreads into those parameters. That is what actually spread technique is, right? So, and actually this is not there earlier. So JavaScript ES6 introduced spread technique. It introduced spread technique. From ES6 we have spread technique. So REST is about parameters, and spread is about so arguments. So here syntactically we have suppose var numbers, and we have some numbers 10, 20 and 30, something like this. And what we do, we have a function which is expecting addition, that is a comma b comma c, and it is doing some action, return a plus b plus c and close. Now here how do we pass that? We just need to call addition. Into the addition we pass dot 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 and what numbers. Any number of parameters, it is 3 dots only, right? 10 or 20 or any number of arguments you can pass into this. That is what actually REST and spread, right? We have these two important techniques. While working with functions, you need to know this. I will copy this example. Just a simple example, this one. How we can define the REST and spread. That is one option. Next important, in JavaScript functions, you need to know function return. You need to know function return. Actually, what is this function return? Function return is nothing but, actually function can be void type. A function can be void type. What is the generally void means? So people generally, void means they will tell about return value. Actually void is not return value. Void is about return type. Void means, generally what is the meaning of void in general? Actually we use this void term in general English. That means, so we can say that, for example, I am talking to my my friend. I am talking to my friend, but he is in a void state. Void state means he is not responding to me. That means he is not saying okay, yes, no, anything. That means I am unable to understand he is receiving it or not. Void state means, that means he is not written from his side, it's not coming anything written. In written nothing is coming. That is called void state. Actually function void means, what will happen is, a function after doing its functionality, whatever functionality is given, after doing the functionality, it will be empty. That means it will be cleaned up, deleted. That means whatever memory allocated for that function, it is deleted, it is cleaned up, it is empty. That is what actually void. Now what we can do is, we can make a function can be discarded. Function can be discarded with void. So that means function can be discarded with void. Discarded with void means, you discard the void, then automatically it will return something. You discard the void, then automatically it will return something. That means we generally call function is void type. But if you discard the void, then it will return something. How to discard void? So you can discard void by using return. You can discard void by using return. Here some important point is there. I will explain that. See, actually here I will show you one diagram to understand. For example, suppose we have a function addition, in that a comma b. In that we have var c is equal to a plus b. We are defining like this. Now, actually, what is the concept here is how many memory allocations are required to handle this. How many memory allocations are required? Actually, one memory is allocated for addition. Memory is allocated for addition. Okay. In that addition, the memory will be allocated for A and B. Now, in that function, another memory is allocated for C also. That means 3 memory allocations, one A and B and C. It will perform the result of A plus B. After that, it will store in C. So now what you can do is, instead of doing this, you can simply say, return A plus B. If you say return A plus B, then what will happen is, actually return is what kind of statement? Return is a jump statement. Return is a jump statement. By seeing this, many people, they will tell that it is returning value. Return is not to return value. Return is not to return a value. So generally learning level people, they think that it is returning a value. Return is a jump statement. How it will return a value? It's a jump statement. We have jump statements like continue, return, and break. Return is a jump statement. It is not returning value. Then what it is? Actually return means, what it is doing is, it is stopping the function. Return means it terminates the function. After terminating the function, whatever result is present of A plus B, it will store in this reference. In the reference of addition, it will store. Remember, what return is doing is, it is not allowing to go to this location. Understood? It is not allowing to go to this location. It is not allowing to go to this location. That means it is terminating here only. It is terminating there only. If it goes to this location, the memory allocated for function is deleted. Understood? It goes to that location, memory allocated for that particular function is deleted. Without going to that location, if I terminate, then the memory is still available. Now in that memory, we can store this data. That means whatever performed A plus B, it can be stored in addition. That means addition will work as a variable and it will work as a function. It will perform the functionality. After that, it will store the result. That means if I don't use this return keyword, actually, if I don't use that return, then what happens is, after doing A plus B, it will go to this location. Then whatever memory allocated, it is deleted. Then where to store A plus B result? To store a plus b result, we need to allocate another memory that is like C. Right? In that C memory, we have to store the result. Because this memory is deleted, now the result must be stored in some C and you have to use. By using the word return, actually return is to terminate. For example, see here. Suppose I am writing like this, observe carefully. Here I am writing function. So function some demo. In the demo function, so console.log, this is line 1. Console.log, this is line 2. Line 2. So that is line 2. Okay. Like this, we have console.log line 3. Do you know what happens actually is it will start from line 1, after 1, 2, then after 2, 3, after 3, it will stop here. But what I am doing now, I am just using return here. If I use return here, now it cannot come here. That means this entire portion stops now. Entire portion stops. That means you can see here it says unreachable code detected. That means compiler can't reach there. If compiler is not reaching here, then what happens is it is terminated before it is finished. If you wait until it is finished, then memory is deleted. Before memory deleted, if you can terminate it, then the memory will be there. In that memory, you can store data. That means instead of allocating separate memory, the same function memory you can use to store the result of function. You don't need to allocate a separate memory. You can use the function memory to store the data of the function. That is the meaning of return. Return is not returning value. Return is discarding void. Return is discarding void. If it is void, then memory is deleted. If you discard void, then memory is present. Memory is present. So what will happen here now? That means I am writing like this function. I said addition into that a comma b. Then I am giving return a plus b. Now what happens? This addition will perform this functionality. After performing whatever result comes, it will store in the same addition. That means what happens now? A memory is allocated. That memory reference name will be addition. In that addition, what will happen? It will perform the operation like a plus b. After performing the operation, whatever results come from a plus b, that result it will store here. A plus b it will store. That means now this function name is available as a variable name. That means result of a plus b is stored inside this addition. Then you see now what I am doing here. Addition 10 comma 20. It will perform that addition and it will store. Remember, it is not going to print it now. It is not going to print it. It perform the addition. It will store. That stored result we have to print now. That means what we have to do? We have to use console.log addition of this. That means we are printing that result. We are printing that result. Now you can see it can print that result. It is performing that operation and displaying. You can store this in any variable also again, but not required. Directly we can define. So what is a function with return? Why you need a function with return? Because every function by default it is void type. After performing the functionality, it cleans up the memory and it deletes. But if you want any function to keep its memory and use the memory for handling the data of that function, then better use a return. Return. That is what the meaning of return. Return is not returning value. Returning is not a returning value. So generally learning level people have this idea. Return means return value. So it is not returning value. What is actually it is doing? It is discarding void. That is technical definition. It is discarding void. What happens if you discard void? If you discard void, then memory of that function is used to store the data of that particular function. That is the purpose of function with return. Function with return. So it can, using return, we can do that. Syntax we write like this: function, some addition. So a comma b. Here we have to use return. So a plus b. So this is how we have to configure. Then we have an addition. We will put console.log, and we are writing addition is equal to whatever addition is there. Addition. So 20, 30, 40, something like this you can pass. It will display that, means it will calculate this 20 plus 40. It will store that in addition and it will print that result. It is doing all that operation. That is actually the function with return. Now, if anybody asked you in interviews a question like, can a void function have return keyword? Can a void function have return keyword? That means without returning any data, can we use return keyword in a function? Without returning any data, can we use void function with return? Already I showed you that. Without returning any data, I given line 1, line 2, line 3. After that line 2, I used return. Then what happened? It terminates after line 2. Now the question is, why you return third line and you don't want to execute? Why you return third line and why you don't want to execute? Why you use return? Actually, this kind of approach is required in testing. When we are testing, some functionalities are incomplete. They need to be implemented. We don't want compiler to reach there. Then what we will do? We will put return up to we finish. How much we finished, there we will put a return. You saw that in the IntelliSense, it showed unreachable code detected. Right? That means compiler is not going to reach there. So this kind of approach is very much used in testing our functions. Testing our function, because lot of code is incomplete, it is not finished. We don't want compiler to reach there. Then we will put simple return. That means return keyword is used in ordinary functions also without returning any value. Why they use that? For handling this kind of testing situation. Actually, so we can use, yes. So if you define return, or you can say if you define any statement after return, it is not reachable. It is not reachable. Compiler cannot reach that location. So without returning a value also, we can define functions with return. Another question is, can a function have multiple return? Can a function have multiple returns defined? Yes, we can have. But it will not return all. It will change the return according to situation. A function can have multiple return also. That it will return depending on situation. For example, see here. Suppose I am writing a function as suppose demo. In this function, I am passing a. So when I am passing a into it, here, if a is number, it should do some operation on a. That means what we will do is we write a condition. If is nan a, that means is not a number. If a is not a number, then what we will do is we will simply put here console. We will simply put return. We will put hello, and we will put a, because it is not a number. If it is a number, a is a number, then what we will do is we will return like a is equal to a plus 1, something like this. That means we will do some increment, we will do some manipulations on that a, and we will return. That means now actually there are two returns. Multiple returns can be there, but it will not return multiple value. It will return only one, depending on situation. Depending on situation, it will return. So that is actually conditionally returning a value. In React, we have to use this kind of technique regularly. In React, we have to use this kind of technique. Actually, now remember this, in React, you will understand. Return is discarding. Return is discarding. What it is discarding? Void. It is discarding void. This you will see in React very high level. That means there you will correctly understand the situation also, because in React interviews, they ask a simple concept like, in React later you will learn life cycle and all. They will say that in life cycle, memory is allocated. How to destroy the memory? After allocating memory, how to destroy the memory? If a function is allocated with memory, you can destroy the memory, disconnect it by using return. If you use return, then it will discard the memory. I will show you later. It's not required as of now, right? It is confusion for you if you don't know React. But this is very important. Can a function can have return multiple? Yes. Actually, in React, people call as conditional rendering. Conditional rendering means function one, but situation wise it will return different. That means function is only one, but situation wise it will return different. If the situation is matching, it will do one work. If not matching, another. That is what actually it can do. So this is a simple concept. So is it possible to have multiple return? Yes. This is just only syntax for that, to understand how it works, right? This is function with return. And very important is, another question is, what type of data a function can return? What type of data a function can return? Any type. So it can return any type. That means both primitive or non-primitive. Non-primitive. That means can a function return array? Yes, a function can return array, a function can return an object, a function can return a number, string, anything. So many times you see, for example, suppose we have a function called products. This products function is going to return an array. You can return an array. And array is ordinary type or array of objects. Array of objects. That means name is TV and price is some price. So we have another one, name is some mobile, and we have some price and some price, like this. Now, what is the product data type? Products data type is an array of objects. That means now this is a function which is returning an array. This type of technique is very much required, because later we communicate with APIs. When you communicate with API, we will write a function. That function will connect with API, gets the data from API, and where to store the data? Instead of allocating a separate memory for storing the data, we can use function memory to store the data by using what? Return. Right? We can use the function memory for storing the data that is coming from API. So now how to read the data in that products function? To read the data in products function, we need an iterator. We are writing for var item of collection. Collection is what? Products. Products is a function which is returning an array. Is a function which returns an array. You cannot write simply products. You have to write like a function. This function is returning array. Now here we can print console.log. I want to print, so here, so that is item.name, and I want to print item.price. That means it is going to print name and price, and you can see it is going to do that. It is an array. It is a function which is returning array. So a function can return any type of data. It can be primitive type or it can be non-primitive. This is an example for that. So can a function, what type of data it can return? It can return any kind of data, right? That is option. So here another important is while working with functions, we have function recursion. We have another concept called function recursion. Function recursion is another concept. Actually, function recursion is nothing but recursion is a technique. Recursion is a technique of calling a function within the context. That is called context. That is called function recursion. Within the context means a function is called within the function. Actually, why you need this kind of technique? I will show you. It is used to create batch operations. It is used to create batch operations. Actually, batch operations is a very huge concept, very huge concept. So programmers need these kind of batch operations at very extreme experience. That means you showed 10 years experience in your resume. Then they will ask you one question. The question is nothing but they will ask you. So they will ask you like, so you are using so many npm commands, am I right? Here we used npm init -y. Actually, you are learning React or Angular, then you will learn some commands to run the projects. That means you will run like npm start. Now at very extreme experience level, they will ask, what is this npm start? What is this npm start? You cannot say it is a command to run project. You cannot say it is a command to run project. Actually, this npm start, all these commands, whatever you are using through npm, all these commands are technically, we call them as batch operation. All these commands are called batch operation. So at high level, the answer is batch operation. We can prove that. Batch operation means what? I will tell you. For example, how come just by writing npm start, it will run your project? To run a project, lot of activities to be done. That means first you have to compile. After compiling, you have to build the solution. After building, all server must be started, because you are using a web application. Server must be started. After starting the server, so that server should launch your page. All this you are doing by one command. That means one command you are running, but internally that command is doing lot of work in the background. That is batch operation. We can create such batch operations. That is not at general your level actually, batch operations and all. But at high level, we have to create such batch operations. For example, so you know certain type of things. I will show you one example to make you understand clearly. Means what is batch operation? I will show you here. See, suppose we have a command line like this. Suppose we have something like this. You see, here I am typing date, that is used to display my current date, and it will ask you to enter date. Similarly, time, it is used to display time. Similarly, dir, it will show the files list. Now these three works I have to do regularly, right? That means every day I need to first open my laptop and I need to set date, time, and see the files list. This work I need to do regularly. Then what you will do? Three commands you have to run separately. Then we can do one thing. We can create, I am creating a file. Generally in operating system, to create file, we have a command called copycon. Copycon file name job.bat. Batch files will have extension .bat. In that file, I am typing date, I am typing time, I am typing dir. So whatever I need daily, I will keep that sequence here. Okay. After that, what we are doing, file created. Now every day I want those three commands. Just I have to type job. If I just type job, it is going to run date, it is going to run time, it is going to run the dir. That is what actually that npm is doing. Understood? That means how a single command will run the project. To run a project, lot of things to be done, right? All those are already defined for you and they given as one command. You just running the command, automatically it is doing that work. It is doing that work. Observe carefully here. I will show you. This is batch operation. Observe carefully. I am writing like npm start, or I am writing like npm init hyphen y. I hit enter, means it will execute. It will say terminate batch job. That means while defining, you see it says terminate batch job. That means I used control C. Control C is to terminate the batch job without completing. For example, you see I typed here job. When I say job, it started date. After that, I want to stop. Then control C. Then it says terminate batch job. I said yes. Then it is finished. It is finished. Means stopped. It is not completed. That means this is also a batch job. You are installing npm install bootstrap, npm install react, npm install angular. Everything is a batch operation. Everything is a batch operation. That means you are running a batch command actually, batch command. That batch command contains sequence of operations which are inbuilt written for you. You are just running it. Actually, without this also you can do. Manually you have to mention. One by one, manually you have to mention. Without doing that batch operation, it is easy. Every command you run is a batch operation. At very extreme experience level interviews of React, we have seen people asking, can you tell me what is this npm start used for running React application? That means npm start is a batch operation which is used to run a project. batch operation used to run a project. So can you terminate that batch operation? Yes, we can terminate that batch operation. So by using that. Now you can see it is creating some command. I said no, don't terminate, then it created. It created everything for you. So if I say yes, it will stop it. So right, this is actually configuring of batch. And why I showed you this, because so what is the relation with recursion and all? Batch operation, you understood. What is a batch operation? You know. Actually, these batch operations are there everywhere, not only in software programming, in general also. For example, I hope where you have seen this, generally, if you know MS Word, Excel also, there will be that batch operation. Actual, observe here, suppose we have welcome to HTML something. You see here, suppose there is an option, right? Welcome to HTML. So JavaScript and the CSS, I written something. Now what happened is I selected this, I given a different font style for this, and I applied some bold, and I am doing some certain actions here. Font color, I set it to red like this. Now same style I want to apply to CSS. Now again I need to do those works. Change the font, change the color, set the bold. Then what you can do is I can select and I can click on this option. This is format painter. That means there will be a format. Yeah, where is it is? Yeah, format painter. Now I click on that. Then when I click on that, it will copy all the activities I done. And I select here, it will apply there. That means I don't need to do them again and again. This is a batch operation. A sequence of operations are recorded and they are applied. Everywhere in software, it is there. It is there. Generally, it is used to simplify the work, right? And in such batch operations, recursions are very common. Recursion means, I will tell you. See, interesting here. Suppose you know this is Windows Run. This is Windows Run. In Windows Run, I am writing one command. Command is ping-t. Ping, I hope you people know, this ping is used for testing whether server is responding or not. Suppose your internet connection have a problem. Server is not responding. Then your hardware person will check whether it is responding or not. Server connected or not. Server is responding. How? Ping and IP address 127.0.0.1. Then you see what it is doing is it is connecting and it is showing like this. Reply is coming. Reply is coming. From server, reply is coming. And see here, it is a recursion of reply. Recursion of reply means reply is not stopping. When it will stop, until you stop, it will not stop. You leave it for 1 year, it will run like that. Understood? That means now how to create a loop which can run forever. That is important. You can create a loop that runs 100 times, 10 times, 1000 times, 1 lakh times, 10 lakh times. But how do you create a loop which runs 1 year, which runs 5 hours, which runs 10 hours? This requires recursion. Recursion is required. For example, see now, I'm using dir. It is running the command once. I use another dir again. So what I am doing is I am creating a command, copycon, some list. Suppose I said as some a dot bat, a list dot bat. Now see here, I am writing dir, means how many times it will run? 1. If I write 10 times, it will run 10. but I am writing dir. After that, I am writing list and close. This is recursion. What does that means? See the first line. First line, it is running which one? dir. After dir, what it will run? List. List is what? List is this file. What that file will do? It will execute again dir. Am I right? It will execute again dir. It will execute again dir. After dir, again list. It will repeat now. It will never stop. And you see now I am writing list. It will continues now. Just by writing 2 lines, I created an list which can run forever. This is the recursion technique. This is terminate batch job. Yes, terminate, then it will stop. It will stop. So this is called recursions. Recursion means we return a function syntactically. How? We return a function, the function name, and generally we call the function within the function. This is recursion. Usually we call the function outside so that we can access and use the functionality. That means how many times you call one, it will run one. You call 2 times, it will run 2 times. But now it will run until the condition is satisfied. The function can execute until the condition is satisfied. These kind of recursions are required to do large scale mathematical operations. To do large scale mathematical operations, they use these kind of functions. Not only mathematical animations, effects are designed by using this. We create infinite loops by using these kind of recursions. For example, see here, I am creating a simple. So I am creating a simple, this example is already given. Yeah. So I am creating a simple here function. So as factorial. Factorial is expecting a number n. We are writing a condition. If n is equal to, so when is less than 0, less than 0. And what it should do? It should equal to less than or equal to 0. Less than or equal to 0, it should return 1. Otherwise, what we will do is we will return n into factorial of n doing is into that factorial. Suppose I am passing factorial of 5. I am passing 5. Now n is less than, so n is less than or equal to 0. It is not matching. Then it will go here. What is the value here now? So 5 into, am I right? 5 into, what is it? Factorial of 5 minus 1. 5 minus 1 is what? 4. That means now what happens is this is actually 5 into 4. What it will calculate? 5 into 4 means it will calculate how much? 20. And what it will do? Return means it will store this 20 in this factorial reference. Am I right? After storing that, this fact function will execute again. But this time, this function value will be how much? It will be factorial of how much? It will be 4 now. Right? Now after that, then it will again come back here. That means n into, that means how much it is actually? So it is 4 into already it is 20 na. 4 into, that is 4 into, it is 20. Right? That means it, so not 4 actually. This is will be how much? 3. That means after the 4, next value will be how much? 3. That means now it will be returning like this: 5 into 4 into and 3 into 2 into 1. After it is 0, it will stop. That means it is gradually decreasing the value and executing this again. It is decreasing and executing again. That means it will repeat this loop continuously until the condition is satisfied. Now simply we are saying console.log. I said factorial of 5 is how much. Here we will put here as factorial of 5. We will just pass the value there. Now what it is going to do is it is performing the functionality like this. I will run this here. Command, yeah. And it is going to execute that here now, right? So node index.js, it will return 120. That means it is performing the operation repeatedly. Suppose I said factorial of 6 and I passed 6 until it is satisfied. It is going to repeat that operation there and display. These kind of continuous operations are defined by using, they are defined by using recursion technique. Recursion means calling a function within the function. This concept is called as recursion. This is actually function recursion. Example is this. That is the recursion, right? How you can configure the functions and how we can access the functions. That is recursion concept. So later you will see this kind of operations regularly, right? And another important in the function, you need to know about arrow functions. Arrow function. Arrow function is the modern JavaScript. That means everywhere in our real world projects, now we are going with this technique only. So you are not writing function anymore. You are using all arrow techniques only. In all complete React also, we follow the same mechanism, right? In the modern JavaScript application, everything is done by using arrow. Arrow is nothing but it is a shorthand technique of writing a function. It is a shorthand technique of writing a function. Actually, it defines in a simple way like this. What is that here? Shorthand technique of writing a function is nothing but generally it have 3 options. Suppose we have a function called hello. This function is taking it is returning some value. So that means what it is doing, it is returning hello world, something like this. This is actual. Now we can write this. We can write this in a simple way. How we can write this in a simple way? Just what you have to do, because it is returning a string. It is returning a string. So we will put a constant message is equal to, we will put a function, that is function, and this is hello world. That is how we need to define. So this is function and this indicates return. What it should return, this is return. That is a simple technique of writing the functions. And in arrow technique, functions don't have a name. You learned in JavaScript. Actually in JavaScript, so function without name is known as, I hope you know, anonymous. Anonymous function. Function without name we call as anonymous function. And generally the functions are written in this way. Shorthand technique of writing the function. Parameters, I will show you how we can do that. Actually what we are doing, suppose we have a function. This is addition. This is a comma b. What it should do, return a plus b. Now in shorthand, how we can write? So in shorthand we can write like this: constant add is equal to function. That function will take 2 parameters a b and it will return a plus b. That is how we write. That means this is the function. The function will take two parameters and it will return a plus b. This implies indicates what it returns. It returns this a plus b. That's it. That means now you say console.log. So we are accessing add, and into that we pass value. Then it is going to return that. And you can see, so it is going to return 50. That is a simple function, how we can define the function. Remember, it can be parameterless, parameterized, multiple parameters, everything. Let me give you one example so that you can clearly understand. First, we will write parameterless function. How to write parameterless function is constant message is equal to empty parenthesis implies here welcome. This is a parameterless function. How to call that function? So that means we have to put console.log. What is it? MSG. MSG is going to return that. You can see I will access that node. So index.js, it is going to return function. It is a function. MSG is a function. How to call a function? Parenthesis. To call a function parenthesis, then it will return that result inside the function. So it says that this is a function message. Usually function is called by using parenthesis. This is a simple, this is example parameterless. Now in parameterless, if there are multiple lines, then what you have to do is you have to write like this. That means it is not that it should return, it can do any another work also. For example, see now I am writing constant hello is equal to function, and it can be implies. Here we can put console.log. Well, hello JavaScript. Like this we are writing. We are writing like this. That means hello JavaScript. That means it is simply how to call this now. We have to call hello. Means it is a function. That function is having this output statement. We have to just call that function, and you can see it is going to execute that function. Now this is another example. Okay, let's do one thing. If there are multiple lines to print, you cannot write like this. You have to put a curly brace now. You have to put a block. Understood? Block is required if there are multiple lines. If there are multiple lines, you put a block, semicolon, another line, console.log, suppose welcome. That means now hello is having two lines to print. So if there are multiple lines, you use it. If there are multiple lines, you have to put this curly brace. Otherwise, not required. This is multiple lines. This technique is very, very important because in all our React, we follow this. In React, every function we write in a shorthand way only. So we don't prefer anymore the normal function technique. Shorthand is preferred everywhere. Now you see, if it is parameter, let's say constant hello and is equal to, if only one parameter, you can directly write parameter. Username implies, so here we will put hello Mr. So and we will put that username variable. Understood? That is parameter. That means this is function parameter. You don't need a parenthesis if only one parameter is there. If one parameter is there, you don't need a parenthesis. That means you can just print like this. That means now what we are doing, console.log hello. Into hello, we need to pass the username. It is expecting username. Then it is going to execute that and display hello John. That is actually function with parameter. If there are many parameters, multiple parameters, you cannot write like this. Suppose name and age, this is not valid. You have to put a parenthesis now. If there are multiple parameters, you have to put a parenthesis. Now here, hello Mr. and slash n, you are. So suppose here we will put age old. So old, suppose years, so years old, like this I define. Now here we need to pass another value. What is that value? Age. Age is some 22, and you can see it is taking two values. That means we can define multiple. We can configure multiple. So you can have multiple parameters also. You can define multiple parameters. If there are multiple parameters, parentheses, right? Any callback functions you need, you can write in a shorthand way. This is arrow technique. Arrow technique. All the functions are written in this format only, right? Suppose I showed you, actually callback technique is nothing but, suppose we have var products. Products is an array. In this array we have object. So name is, suppose I defined some TV, and category is electronics, like this. Another name is some shoe, say Nike, some casual something. Category I defined as category as footwear, like this we define. Another name is like, suppose mobile, and this is also category having as some electronics. Now what I want to do is, I want to create an array called electronics and get all electronics and store there. How to get all electronic products and store inside this? We are accessing products dot filter. Filter is used to read all values from an array. Find is to return one record, filter is to return multiple. And a filter actually uses a callback function. In this callback function, we read every product, and after that, what we will do is, we will return the product whose category is matching with what? Electronics. This is how we write. Now remember, this is a callback function. Now we can write this in a shorthand way. This is original, means this is how actually we write. Now functions can be written in a shorthand way. How to write? Suppose I want to access footwear, right? If I want to access footwear, products dot what? Filter. Products dot filter. And here we will put a simple product, that is parameter, implies product dot category is equal to footwear. This is shorthand. That means this is the parameter in that it is returning whose category is what? Footwear. Same you have written above, but this is a lengthy way. We write a function, into the function we pass parameter, and we will return product dot category is equal to electronics. Now this is shorthand way. This is shorthand. So you print here console.log electronics, and you can see the electronics are coming. Electronics are coming. Suppose I am printing console.log. What is it? Footwear. And you can see the footwear is also coming. Footwear is also coming. It is displaying that, right? And here generally what we are doing, electronics here, mobile also should come na. Spelling wrong. Product dot category is equal to, in products, spelling here, which line? Yeah, here we got TRO, electronics. Okay, fine. Yeah, now you can see it is going to return both. First array is going to return both, second array is giving the one. Right, that means both are same, but we are using a shorthand technique. This is what you need to get practice. That means in the modern JavaScript, we use these kind of shorthand techniques for handling. These are all related to function. This is very, very important. In our React, all we will work with arrow functions. How do we work with arrow functions and use them? Is it clear? Right. So these are all function related concepts. So that is a function declaration, signature, definition, parameters, formal, actual, arguments, rest, spread, function returns, function recursions, anonymous functions, and function arrow. We have an arrow technique of function. So once you are good with all these functions, now we will go into another concept, that is JavaScript OOP. We will discuss some JavaScript OOP concept now, object-oriented programming. In this, you will learn modules, classes, and how those options work. That is enough. Then we can start with our React now, right? After knowing the OOP concepts, right? That we'll see tomorrow. Right, in the next session we will discuss about that. Okay, in tomorrow session we will start working with JavaScript OOP, object oriented programming. Here once we are good with this, that is enough. Now we can start React, and in React you will learn more these kind of advanced options of JavaScript to use. There I will explain again the scenarios different, right? So let's finish this OOP concepts, then we will join with the React. Okay, tomorrow we'll continue then, right?